Ever since the late 1940s, we've approached UFO sightings with a very specific, hardwired assumption. The thinking goes that if there's a disk in the sky, there must be a metallic engine propelling it, and intelligent beings sitting inside a cockpit to steer it. But early observers noticed a glaring inconsistency in these reports. While human aircraft of the era relied on massive, fiery thrusters to punch through the air, these strange objects routinely showed zero signs of visible propulsion. They moved with an erratic, swooping fluidity. This discrepancy gave rise to an entirely different framework, known as the space animal hypothesis. Instead of extraterrestrial technology, some researchers suggested we were actually looking at undiscovered biological organisms native to our atmosphere or deep space. The roots of this idea go back to 1923, when paranormal author Charles Fort made a simple comparison. He noted it's no more incredible to think the seemingly unoccupied sky is full of living things than to accept the ocean swarms with life. Removing the assumption of advanced machinery redefines the entire UFO phenomenon as a series of biological field observations regarding atmospheric wildlife. During the flying saucer craze that followed World War II, military intelligence units struggled to classify objects that openly defied mechanical physics. By 1949, the Air Force's own Project Sign released an essay stating that the possibility of strange extraterrestrial animals had been considered, primarily because the objects being described acted more like animals than anything else. Highly respected scientists of the era, like physicist Luis Walter Alvarez, publicly voiced the opinion that these unexplained gizmos appeared to be alive. In 1953, author Walter Carrig pointed out that the swooping, unpredictable movements of these objects didn't resemble the calculated, efficient trajectories of spaceships. Instead, they behaved more like playful puppies. When you compile these historical quotes from trained observers, a clear pattern emerges. The military and scientific records are full of descriptions where animalistic instinct overrides mechanical logic. Naturally, early researchers tried to classify the anatomy of these hypothetical creatures. In the late 1940s, a writer named John Philip Besser proposed to the Air Force that the discs possessed the form and mentality of octopuses. Kenneth Arnold, the very pilot who coined the term flying saucer in 1947 after a famous sighting, eventually revised his own theory. He decided the objects he witnessed were actually giant, sky-dwelling jellyfish. The classifications expanded. Researcher Trevor James Constable argued these were amoeba-like organisms inhabiting the upper atmosphere, capable of ranging in size from a small coin to a half-mile across. This atmospheric cross-section shows severe temperature and radiation spikes. To understand how biological tissue survives the high ionosphere and vacuum of near space, researchers look to extremophiles. Just like gelatinous creatures adapting to deep oceanic trenches, life finds ways to fill seemingly uninhabitable zones. The rules of deep-sea biology provide a template for these sightings, framing them as observations of highly adapted atmospheric wildlife. This zoological approach to the sky has deep roots in fiction. Back in 1913, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a short story about an aviator breaking altitude records, only to discover a hidden air jungle populated by translucent, snake-like animals. Over a century later, that concept was fully realized on screen in Jordan Peele's 2022 film, Nope, which unmasks a classic saucer-shaped UFO as a highly territorial aerial predator. To ground the creature in reality, the filmmakers consulted with marine biologists. They designed its locomotion and anatomy to mirror the natural movements of jellyfish, squids, and octopuses. These stories use the space animal hypothesis to transform the sky into a hunting ground. When the flying saucer is unmasked as a living creature, the viewer is forced to confront a simple biological reality. We are the prey. The idea hasn't stayed confined to science fiction. Modern intelligence assessments of unidentified aerial phenomena have occasionally echoed these exact same biological theories. In 2020, former CIA Director John Brennan publicly addressed unexplained phenomena caught on military sensors. He stated on record that these objects might actually constitute a different form of life. If you accept that premise, the mystery completely changes character. Every erratic radar ping, every impossible aerial maneuver, and every hovering light becomes the routine activity of wildlife existing high above our heads. We have spent decades looking up at the stars, anxious about an invasion of intelligent machines. But we might just be bottom feeders, entirely unaware of the creatures swimming near the surface of our atmospheric ocean.